Okay. I probably could have included this in the last one. This is still a little bit of scalar, but I'm going to show you something. Notice this is 3 times. Now, there's stuff on the inside, and normally what we do is order of ops. So you would do all of this first, then you would multiply this. And that is one way you could do it. And again, this is a 1 by 3, so this will be a 1 by 3. However, the other way that, and then, I'm sorry, then to finish this, we would then have 12, 24, negative 72. And this would be a 1 by 3. Okay, I'm going to erase this. The other way you can think about that I think is simpler or maybe fewer steps is remember the properties associative and commutative. If everything's being multiplied, say you have 4 times 5 times 6, well, we could put parentheses that way. We could put, and the answers would be the same. That would equal 120. That would equal 120. We could even move numbers around. That's the commutative part. We could make that 5 times 6, then multiply that by 4. So this right here would be 30 times 4. So because this is all multiplication, what we could do is rewrite the parentheses there, and now we have negative 12 multiplying against this matrix. And this is a 1 by 3. And I think that, plus then you're using properties that sometimes we get rusty on. So negative 12 times negative 1 is positive 12. Negative 12 times 2 is positive, times negative 2 is positive 24. Negative 12 times 6, negative 72. This is a 1 by 3. All right. What I want to really get to, though, is matrix multiplication. So, first step, identify size of each matrix and label. So this is 2 rows by 2 columns. This is 2 rows by 3 columns. Step 2, look at the size. So a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 3. If the two inside numbers are the same, then you can go ahead and multiply. If they're not, it's an undefined. Then the two outside numbers, these two numbers dictates the size of the product. So that's what we have here. We look, those two values are the same, so we know we can multiply. And when we multiply, it will be 2 rows. And I'm going to make this very long. In fact, I'm going to make that a little bit taller too, because there's some stuff we have to do in there. Okay, so here's the process. For each of those 6 slots, for this first slot, we're going to be using, here, let me change that to this. Okay, so it's the left number times the upper number plus the right number times the lower number. So 5 times negative 3. Whoops, that's sorry about that. So 5 times negative 3 plus, now we're going to take the right number. So this is the left number, this is the right number. This is the upper, this is the lower. All right. I guess I could say B for bottom number. All right, so then it's plus 0 times 3. All right, now we're going to do that again. So it's the left times the upper. So 5 times -4 plus 0 times -3. Then we're going to do that a third time. 5 times 6 plus 0 times -5. Okay, now we're going to start with the lower, because now we're down here on all these lower numbers. So now we're going, this is still the left, this is still the right, and we're still doing the same thing. We're multiplying it, the left with the upper plus the right with the lower. So it's the left, which is 1, times the upper and the other one, times -3, plus the right, which is -2. Sorry about that. I should have. There we go. -2 times -5. Okay, and we're going to move this column over. And we have the left in the first matrix, the lower left. So 1 times the upper in the right matrix, middle column. Whoops. Plus the right number, -2, times -3. And then we're going to move this over. I don't know if it's going to let me do that. I'll just restart again. So 1 times 6 plus -2 times -5. So notice I put the plus sign between the two parentheses. Oh, I didn't do that there, so I will do that there now. So this is 2 rows by 3 columns. So the final answer when we simplify will be 2 rows by 3 columns. You don't have to do this. I do that just so I can kind of keep my place. So 5 times -3 is -15 plus 0. So this is -15. And then -20 plus 0. So -20. And then 30 plus 0. Then we're going to move to the bottom here. That's -3 plus +10. So that's 7. And then -4 plus +6. So that's +2. And then 6 plus 10, which is 16. Ta-da! So this is the product. Let's do another one. This looks weird. So this is 3 rows by 2 columns. This is 2 rows by 2 columns. So the middle numbers are the same. So the outside numbers dictate the size. So it will be a 3 by 2. So like that. So now we're going to have 3 rows and only 2 columns, but the process is the same. So this is upper left, this is upper right, this is upper left, this is lower left, this is middle left, this is lower left, middle right, lower right. So upper right, lower right. All right, so we're going to do the same thing we did before. Upper left times the left times the upper. So 1 times -1 plus, and then the upper right, 2 times the lower in the first column. So negative 2 times negative 3. Okay, now I'm going to so this is 1 times 2 plus negative 2 times negative 5. Okay, now we start in the middle and we do that exact same process again, but we use the middle row. So it's 3 times negative 1 plus negative 4 times negative 3. And then we're going to do the second column. So it's 3 times 2 plus negative 4 times negative 5. Okay, then finally we can do the third row. We'll do the first column. So it's negative 2 times negative 1 plus 3 times negative 3. And then we've got the second column. Negative 2 times 2 plus 3 times negative 5. And if you pay attention, look at all of these are times negative 5 because that's the lower. All of these are times 2, that's the upper. And then same with over here. Let's start. So we've got 1, 3, negative 2, 1, 3, negative 2 on each one of those. All right, so as long as you've done that, then the final answer, which will also be a 3 by 2, and you don't need to leave quite as much room. You could use your calculator for this. This is 1 times negative 1 plus negative times negative is positive. So that's 5. 2 plus 10, that's 12. Negative 3 plus 12, that's 9. 6 plus 20, that's 26. 2 plus negative 9, that's negative 7. This assuming that I have not made a clerical error someplace, which is possibility. That's plus negative 15, so that looks like that's negative 19. All right, so that is matrix multiplication. I'm going to end this because then I'm going to do the determinant and inverses next.